Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Talking Tuesdays. My name is Tanvi Sharma, and happy to be here every Tuesday to talk about different topics. So, our topic for today is intrapersonal intelligence, and it is a part of the series that we're doing on birth wisdoms, wherein we are talking about multiple intelligence that Professor Howard Gardner spoke about, and how it is true even during birth. So, welcome everyone. I am going to add Divya to this conversation and she'll take it up from there. So, intra, as you would know, means within. So, it's actually about knowing yourself. This is going to be a very interesting topic. There is Divya, so I'm going to just add her to the conversation. Hi, Divya.
Hi.
So, welcome everyone. And as I said, that our topic for today is intrapersonal intelligence. Actually, my voice is echoing, Divya. Is it at my end or yours?
No, it's sounding just fine.
Okay, okay, fine, great. So, yes, over to you, Divya.
Okay, so इसको कहते हैं भूमिका बांधना. So I will give you a context. It allows me to settle into this. Welcome everybody to my child first talking Tuesday. I'm sure Tanvi has given you a background about our multiple intelligences. This is our fifth session together, and we are doing intrapersonal. And I did hear her talk a little bit about it. So once again, I want to say we are using the framework of multiple intelligences to bring to your awareness different ways in which you can prepare for birth. And I think of all of those, the most least spoken of and the most important is the interpersonal intelligence, or you'd like to call it self-smart. So, unfortunately, with the kind of world we are living in and the kind of messages we are getting, everything has become about do this, this is right, this is ideal, this is, and somewhere that extra noise on the outside has broken down our inner relationship, which means, let's say this. I would love to, to say that, oh, you must do this particular exercise or eat this particular food. But then when you do an introspection or when you see yourself, you say, oh, this particular food I'm actually allergic to. So even though it may be the superfood of the world of this week, it's unsuitable for me. And if we start to look at our entire life through that lens, saying that yes, this is great, this is available, this is not available, but how does all of this information around me apply or become relevant to me? That framework, that guideline can only come from within. And so, intrapersonal intelligence is one of the really, really significant one. And if you've seen our poster, we put down 3 points, and all the three are really, really important. So, um, the ones that I really want to pick up is so. Firstly, is to say that what is available out there, and we've talked about that. So you can go to a class, you can get information, you can do exercise, you can practice this, you can incorporate something else in your life, and you can do all of that. But how do you bring relevance of it to your life? Now, we have the simplest mechanism in our life or in our bodies, which nature has given us, and it has given it to all living creatures, irrespective. And that is an avoidance slash approach. So we will move towards what is good for us and move away from what does not suit us. And this even children know, even animals know, even simple single cell organisms like amoebas know. So for two sides of an amoeba, you put a food article and a toxic substance, you will find it will shrink on one side and move towards the other side. So avoidance and approach. And so the really important thing here is to then attune to those things, knowing that about yourself. What is it that makes me comfortable? or what can I live with? What is it that is because all about opening. If your body cannot open up, if your body cannot open up, the baby cannot come down or come up. So it's all about opening up. And the thing about your body is that it's not the uterus working in isolation or you are pregnant in isolation. You are a person and you're important. Your baby is important. Your experience is important. And your entire life is about a series of such experiences, all of which are just as important as the other, because it has brought you to this point. So depending on how your conception was, how your pregnancy was, all of these things will factor in when you look at birth. You may have an ideal 30-point birth plan, but how do you feel with every point? So, when we teach our childbirth class, the first sentence I say about birth plans is that who is this birth plan for? And a lot of things, people think that this birth plan is actually for our care provider to do this and don't do it. Well, they're doctors. I'm sure they know what they have to do and not do. And perhaps they also know the boundary of what they shouldn't be doing and where they are not required to do anything. But why is it that they are always overstepping that boundary? It's because we are not putting a very clear limit or boundary to what we can do. So when we say we believe birth is natural, I'd rather write down for myself what I would do or what will happen to me and what might I think to be challenging and what might be easy for me. And then take a step further and say, whatever is challenging, what might help me in that? And that's a fantastic birth plan, primarily for yourself. And when you discover that, when you reflect on it, when you come into a relationship of yourself giving birth, not your birth being done, protected, or avoided by the doctor, that might be the first step of your feeling in control, your feeling safe. And we know that as women feel safe, birth is a natural expression of their body. Their hormones will run well. There'll be more, their muscle tone will be absolutely optimized. So you don't want your muscles to be too tight or tight. You want them to have enough body and flexibility that they may maintain shape and keep the baby on track, but also give them wiggle room to get going. And so that is true for your uterus, because if it's contracting, it should have a nice big contraction which gives it all the opportunity to do the work and then come back into relaxation so the baby gets a whole lot of more room. That is true for your pelvic floor. It has to be strong enough to hold shape for the baby to take guidance, but flexible enough to give way for the baby to pass through. So that, and how do you get good muscle tone? I'll give you a very simple example. The minute you are in avoidance, when you are upset, when you are in a negative place, when you are intrinsically not okay with what's going on, one of the most common examples that you will see is a tightening of your musculature. Now, it's not only on your jaw, it's not only in your body, it's not only every bit of your body gets the same signal that we are putting up a defense, we are closing down. That muscle tone is way different than a muscle tone which would be a very easy one. One of the common examples given in childbirth classes is say, move your hand. That's the suppleness of your muscle. The kind of work that muscle can do is about how the muscle strength is built up. But if you were to tighten that muscle and still try and do the same movement, there would be more pain. So tension leads to pain and fear leads to tension. This tightening of the musculature at the simplest level is all about how you. Now, we are kind of designed or programmed in the world to push away our negative feelings. For two or maybe even more reasons, but the two that I want to enunciate. One of them is the value we ascribe to a certain feeling. Anger is normal, or others are uncomfortable with our feeling. I'm worried, or don't worry. You're pushing it aside. That doesn't mean that your anger goes away or your worry goes away. So A is your own valuation of, oh, am I going to be the person who gets this angry? That valuation, or it's seen as a weakness, or the others are trying to shut us down. So either of the two, we're uncomfortable. And one or other reason is that when we feel a negative emotion, it is overwhelming. Anger feels out of control. Worry feels out of control. So negative emotions are actually giving us signals to do something, but they overwhelm us if we feel out of control. So it's really, really important that we have people in our lives because our nervous system is designed to co-regulate. We talk about it a lot with babies, but as adults also we can co-regulate. So a preparation for birth in terms of this way of attuning to your feeling is firstly to embrace whatever comes up, whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whether it's a worry, whatever it is, and acknowledge that it is there. The term that we use is that you name it to tame it. So you say, yes, I feel worried, or I feel angry, or this is bothering me. Then you have another adult or another person, and it can be your partner, can be your family, can be a doula, can be a child educator, can be a friend, who can turn you out, who's not also trying to shut down your emotion because you will feel, oh, no, everything should be absolutely blissful. Basically, we're not saying that everything should be blissful because that's not life. Basically, we're saying that apparently everything should be blissful, and that's not helping at all because intrapersonally, everything is not blissful. However, by paying attention to it, you might be able to settle it a little, or you might be able to find a solution, you might be able to find acceptance, and all three would be okay. So, whether the awareness may lead to an action, if that is possible, or to an acceptance when it is not possible. But both action and awareness are actually integrating what is going on in your life. And that would make it such a wonderful experience because no matter what happened, you knew, you were present, you experienced it, and you worked through it. And that would be power, that would be control over people, which is what we really miss out. So that intrapersonal intelligence is the pathway of you to find within you the resources, not just solutions, the resources to cope with what, whether it needs action or it needs. So, one of the ways of preparation here, which I would bring up and we teach it in our childhood class, is we talk about so many times about using the acronym BRAINS or breath, benefits, risk, all of that. But, and the evidence is showing us a lot of things. How many of us might have seen the evidence of something, but still not being able to bring it into our life? And the simplest example is the way we eat and exercise. How many of us know the benefits of exercise? And how many of us can routinely bring it to our lives? So, what is the missing link? And I like to call it, um, so I like to name it, and we've named it in our class, saying evidence says, and I feel. Holding both the thinking part of you and the feeling part of you and allowing it to talk to each other. So the evidence, whatever it says, comes from purely business of things, or you can say science of things, our understanding of things. Take the evidence, dig deeper, and find what is the science. And then go back to say where you are at and how much you can embrace it and bring it into your life. I guarantee you, and this is 100%, I rarely talk in absolutes, but I guarantee you, if you've done this work, you will optimize what you need to do. We have so many examples of people making choices from medical need, choices from personal need, choices from where they are at right now. But their recovery and their baby's growth is rarely impacted by the incident that took place because they've offered a buffer zone of a co-regulated, a heard, seen, and happy mother, a mother who was nurtured and can give it. So if you look at research about biology today, it's not just nature; it's also nurture. Where is the thin line where we can say that this is where the nurture begins and this is where the nature ends? So yes, there are things. If you eat well each day, then you will be healthy, or not, but you will be healthy. And then I was attending a small workshop by Yasmin, my friend, and she was talking about epigenetics. She was talking about intention and mindful eating. And say on a day that you are actually eating mindfully, but it's not the most holistic food that you're eating, it's not going to hurt you simply because there is a whole phenomena of your own intention around it, your acceptance of it, your understanding of it that has changed the quality or the receptivity of your body. If that is true, and which science says now that it is, that your intention matters, then your acceptance of yourself, your understanding of your situation, and your ability to work with it will be the best gift you will give to yourself and your baby. Best preparation. But the neurobiology of it is that once you are in a state of harm, which could be you've taken the appropriate action or you've taken the acceptance and you're in a state of calm, your neurobiology will ensure optimal working of the physiology of your body. Same is true for birth. So if you address your fears, then in birth, your labor hormones will work efficiently. If you have found a place, an island of peace in a really dramatic situation, if you're able to access that, then your response to that situation and your recovery from that situation will be dictated by your neurobiology and your biochemistry. So much layered experience is there. So it's not just can I do 1,000 squats or can I practice, can I sit in a particular position for 3 hours? It's also about can I, what is it that is driving me to do these extraordinary amount of squats because I am completely frozen or upset about or completely paralyzed by the thought of not having a normal delivery. And would that anxiety then tighten every muscle that should have opened up for the baby to come out, no matter how much squat you did? So yes, and no, this is how the different intelligences are again there. So yes, that is bodily intelligence to know that this is how my body works. It'll open. It is naturalist intelligence to know the passage of the baby through, but it's also your intrapersonal to say, as I'm doing this, what really drives me to it? This is a very common discussion we have as doulas about natural induction. And we talk about, say, benign. You can use acupressure, but you can do it. You use a pressure point, you use it. For some people, it really works. For others, they say, well, I did so many natural inductions, nothing worked. So what lies behind the difference in this is that firstly, to understand when you used it, were you actually ready for birth? The second part, which is really, really important, is why did you use it? What was your approach? Were you desperate? You mark the words and just allow yourself to feel those words. Were you desperate to start natural labor and you were doing something for it? Or were you facilitating your body's capacity, both as hormone, muscle tone, to go towards what the body already could do? Now, which one would you think would work better? And it's what is really fascinating is that I don't really have to tell you because you do understand avoidance and approach very, very simply. So this is your aspect of your interpersonal intelligence. But here's another aspect of intrapersonal intelligence. We have, for large parts, we buy into narratives from the outside world about relationships. This is true for marriage, and we are seeing it all around us, but it's also true for parenting. So, if preparation for birth, and again, I'm repeating, birth is not about bringing the baby out, but birth is the beginning of that parenting relationship. So, preparation for birth would not just end with the baby being born, actually, it begins with the baby being born. A part of that preparation is about understanding who am I, or what am I going to define myself? How do I feel myself as a parent? You could also, there's a very interesting exercise that we do, and we say that think that you're responding to an ad, an interview, or an ad for a job, and the job is that of a parent, and the person who's going to interview is the baby. Just play that in your mind a little bit. And so you're going to put up a resume, or you're going to go for an interview and say why you're going to make a great parent. But for a moment, you have to also fill in the booties of the baby and say, oh, does this really work for me? So you can provide for me, you can do this for me, you can, and then you start to think about what you thought about, say, breastfeeding, or thought about scheduling, or thought about how much time you can spend, or thought about co-sharing or sleeping together. You can start to think about it from that angle. So developing a parental life, that's a very simple part of it, that, how am I going to take care of this baby? Then we're going to do a little bit of dig a little bit deeper and say, what informs me that this is an important part of my life? Is it my relationship with my own parents? Was it something that I had abundance of? Was there something that I am trying to recreate that was missing in me? And, start to explore that as well within yourself. What did I as a child appreciate about having a parent? And so it could be discipline. And you might find at that place where you'd say, oh, I was disciplined, and at that time, I really found my bedtime, the strict thing about bedtime, to be such a nuisance. But now I recognize how much it helped. And you're negotiating that, coming into a new awareness of what is informing you. Because all your life experiences, and the ones especially which were pre-verbal, where you're not fully cognitive, are a deep part of who you are. So exploring that, and you can explore it with art, you can explore it, in role play, you can explore it in stepping into babies like a two-chair scenario. You can explore it in so many different ways to say, listen, I'm going to be a parent, and what does it mean for me to be a parent? And that's the first part, and that can be driven by the needs of the baby. And the second part is, what informs me that I have to meet these needs for the baby? What are those needs in me that I'm trying to offer? And you'll feel that you're being informed by your own experiences, good or not so good. So either avoidance and approach, either you're doing more of what you like or less of what you didn't like. But you might also be informed by a friend's mother who always took time to listen to you, and that might shape you. Or you might have another classmate whose grandfather always came to the bus stand to pick them up. And for you, that is such a strong emotional impact that, oh, I have to be available for them. It could be many, many different things. And you will only become full awareness of it when you are using this pathway of interpersonal intelligence to say, can I self-reflect, come into relationship with myself, attune myself to my feelings, and then explore a parental identity? But what it will also do for you, which will be even more beneficial, is that it will allow you this idea that nothing is permanent. What you thought in the beginning may just start to change as you bring your awareness or your consciousness to what the baby wants, what was with me, what was my parent's story, who am I, how does this information become relevant to me in my life? So I have information about what the baby needs from me. I have inputs from what my own life was, but I'm not my mother or my father. I may have work commitments, financial commitments, family commitments. How does all this information then translate in relevance to me so that I can optimize uh, my and my baby's experience? So there was an interesting study, and because we're talking about parenting, about attachment, and they said that interesting thing was that while mothers spent the same time with the baby, the attachment quality could change depending on where her intention and attention was. And intrapersonal intelligence allows us to bring our focus to where we are, because we can't pay attention to something if we don't know where we are. That's the reference point to where we will pay attention. So intrapersonal intelligence is important. So that is what we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, so this is the fifth intelligence that we have spoken about today, and it's a part of our series on birth wisdom. So a few I saw some new names joining in. So in case you would want to hear about the other intelligences that we've already spoken about, you can find it on our IGTV or on our YouTube channel. And today we spoke about intrapersonal intelligence, and this is a part of the 9 intelligences that we will be talking about. So 4 more to go. And if you, and for people who will be listening to it later, which mostly happens, if you have any questions, you can leave in the comment box for us, or you can directly message to us. You know that we get back to you always. So thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. And thank you, Divya. We will see you next Tuesday with another topic on the same series. So thank you so much. Have a good day.
Have a good day.